Today we're at 96 National Park, and we're gonna walk around this 1 mile loop and find some history, right buddy?
Right.
Revolutionary War history.
And spoiler alert, you might be miserable.
Spoiler alert, you might be miserable because there are snakes and spiders, copperheads, fire ants, poison ivy.
And all that.
Anything else that'll hurt us?
Pretty much that's it.
That's pretty much it. Okay, so we're gonna walk around and take a peek. We came across a trader with their pack horse. Squirrel was a bad boy.
Yeah.
Got scared by a squirrel. Coming up on the fort. Difference between a musket and a rifle?
What?
A musket shot a ball down the tube, while a rifle shot a bullet that would spin down the barrel. That's the difference between a musket and a rifle.
And muskets have bayonets.
Bayonets? Well, you could put bayonets on a rifle.
Yeah, it's probably a ball.
You know what happens if you hear, you know what happens when you run out of bullets?
What?
You say, fix bayonets! And that means put your knife on your rifle. Yep, that's why it is called a star fort. This is what the battle would have looked like. So here's the siege works and the two forts. We're gonna climb up this tower and see if we can see the battlefield. What? You don't wanna be up there, puppers? So this is where we're standing, where the siege works were being dug. And you can see right along that path over there, they kind of follow the siege works in a zigzag, and then we'll make our way up to that rifle tower. And that's a rifle tower that was built by the chief engineer of the army. And a Revolutionary War soldier's footprints. Looks like he was pretty tall. What do you think?
It looks like my feet are.
Yeah. You want to try it? Let Sissy go stand in those footprints. Oh, yeah. You got about the right size feet. I guess he was a size 8, huh? With your big old feet. Here we go. There are the earthworks and the siege lines as they headed towards the Star Fort. Oh, look at that.
1781.
Yep. So they used to move the cannons through these holes and then put them up and shoot at the fort. So it says an approach trench or a sap connected one parallel to the next. And these angled ditches allowed troops to move toward the fort without taking direct fire from the enemy, and sappers dug the trenches. Today's army we call sappers engineers. Yeah, that's what they're called. They go to sapper school. Looks like we're coming up on the rifle tower. This is a cool story. June 3rd, so in 2 days, the sappers had reached from all the way back there to all the way up here. And now that they were in position to attack, General Greene, in keeping with the etiquette of siege warfare, made a formal demand for them to surrender.
17 minutes.
Yep, 3 days later, General Greene set up a rotation to relieve the exhausted sappers. And one team dug while another returned to build baskets that they would put the earth in, and to gather wood and large bundles of sticks to fortify the walls.
Fun fact, June 6th is when D-Day happened.
That is true. So they built this tower in one night, and it was about 30 feet high. And what they would do is they'd send up sharpshooters to shoot into the fort. This was a tactic that was used in the taking of Fort Watson by General Marion. Yep, isn't that cool? I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. He was a Polish colonel, so I'll throw a picture of him up and I'll type his name out so you can see it. Right?
Looks like he's seen better days.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. It's almost 241 years old, right? It's seen its better days. And what they would do is they would stand up on that tower and they'd shoot down into the fort, because the fort's right over there. And they would try to shoot people in the fort. So the guys in the fort made bigger walls with sandbags. And then they tried to shoot hot cannonballs to burn the tower down. But it didn't work.
Because they're slow.
Yep. That's pretty cool, huh? Inside that rope, right? You see that where that rope is?
Yep.
Inside that rope is the shaft, the mine shaft that they were going to dig to try and breach the wall. So what they were going to do, as you can see in this picture, they were digging down like this, right? And they were going to dig over to here, and then they were going to fill it with gunpowder, blow it up. And then they could breach the walls. But they never got a chance to do it because the loyalists that were inside the fort, you know, had reinforcements coming, so they abandoned the plan. But I think inside of that roped off area is how much they had dug. Can you imagine hot June South Carolina with a wool uniform in the sun digging up the earth? Can you imagine how hot that was? How miserable that was?
Yeah. No, they're like afterwards they're like.
Yeah, they're probably tired and hot. Yeah.
Yeah, and they probably need the water.
Yep, lots of water. We're making our way over to the fort. So this says on June 18th, after realizing that more than 2,000 troops were heading to 96 to relieve Lieutenant Colonel Cruger, the men of the organization, the men of the unit, urged General Greene to an assault. And 50 men volunteered, and you know what they were called?
What?
The Forlorn Hope. Forlorn Hope.
I couldn't see.
And they assaulted with axes and tried to cut through the defenses so that the following soldiers with hooks could pull down the sandbags and breach the walls.
And two, they also had muskets and bayonets.
Of the 50 patriots that assaulted the Star Fort, 30 were either killed or wounded. You see this picture, but see, that's the tower that's right over there. And then that's the mine they were digging, right? So it looks like they were just going to assault the fort right here. They were just going to come straight this way. Now we're coming up to the Star Fort, and this is what the Patriots were trying to assault and take. See? The heart of the Loyalist defense. See, it was shaped like a star. These are called palisades. And they had all the cannons, you see, and then here's where they started. So that's way down there, and there's the tower. See the tower? Yep. So they got pretty close.
What do you think you could call it? As a triple patch.
Yep.
I call it a triple patch.
Look at that. Wasn't very big in there, was it?
Yeah, I could have.
This looks like this.
I don't want to go to that area after this.
Oh, I don't know if we can walk in there.
Well, not walk in there, but two.
We're entering the Star Fort. So I wonder how high these walls really were. What do you think? They had to have been higher than that.
Pretty high because they were just standing right now.
Because that tower was 30 feet, right?
Yeah,
So they had to be high to get down in there.
it probably fell because probably like.
This says the well. Water was critical to the survival of the men. But the town's only water source, Spring Branch, lay well beyond its walls and within range of Patriot fire. So the commander of this Star Fort hoped to remedy the situation by digging a well. But at 25 feet, no water was found, and the effort was abandoned. Woo! This is a trench, right? Yep. This is how they helped build the Star. This was part of the defense. So this actually made the walls higher than they seem, right? So there used to be a trench that was about 3 feet deep that ran all the way from the Star Fort to the stockaded town to get supplies and reinforcements. So this was the town of 96. And you see that yellow post right there?
Yep.
You see that yellow post?
Yeah.
And then there's one over there. Can you see it over there?
Yeah.
And then there's one over there. And then there's one right here, right? That was how big the town was. If you were to look inside and see, they left the grass high, and that shows the edge of the village. So what they would do is they would send reinforcements and supplies from the Star Fort through that trench, and then they would come to this town and get the supplies because the fight that was occurring over there couldn't reach the town. Isn't that something? So it says there used to be a town here, and it had houses and a jail and a courthouse. And when the British evacuated after beating the Patriots at the battle at the Siege of 96, they burned it to the ground because they thought it was of no more strategic value. Huh? So there used to be a town here and they burned it to the ground when the British left. Isn't that sad? This is the Charleston Road, and this is what the settlers used to take to get to Charleston. Boy, that was a long walk, I bet. Woo-wee! But the soldiers, you would march up this road. That's how they got to this place.
I heard they have to march. They don't have to do this. They still have to march.
Yeah, they have to march in step.
But they don't have to do this.
No, they don't have to salute when they march. They just have to march in a cadence. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why you hear the drum when they're marching. Boom, 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 boom. There's the jail site.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. There's the jail site.
Is that squirrel a mysterious soldier?
Or, nope. He's probably just eating some food. Look, that trench goes even further. See that? They used to come down here. It must be they got the water from this branch. This spring branch. They'd come down here on the communication trench and get their water and take it back to the fort.
Let's do this.
Woo, man. That's a long walk. Trench keeps going. These poles represent where the trench was. Looks like it got all filled in over time, huh? Are you shooting into the fort?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a stockade fort. And Lieutenant Colonel Henry Lee, who was part of the Patriot Army, led his Continental troops here and lend support to General Pickens, who was supposed to capture this stronghold. And they failed the first time. This has been reconstructed, so this is not what it originally looked like.
And look.
Not a very big fort. These must have been the buildings that they worked in and lived in. This is where he probably kept a lot of the ammunition too and supplies. Yeah, that was probably a supply barn. So I think this was the location of the original 96 fort that was besieged and attacked in 1775. So, you know, a whole 6 years before the Star Fort, the siege of 96 at the Star Fort. So it looks like there was 2 major battles here, right? So do you know why there was 2 battles here?
Why?
Because this was a strategic value. It had 2 major crossroads in the south, and both the Patriots and the British knew the tactical value and the strategic value of this little town. And so that's why they continually fought over it. And you know why it's called 96?
Why?
Because it's 96 miles from the Cherokee settlement. And that's why it's called 96. Interesting, huh?
Yes.
What is this? The lost town of Cambridge. After the Revolution, the American government confiscated land, and now we are standing on such a tract. Oh, so the American government confiscated land that belonged to the prominent loyalists, and we're standing on one of those spots. And so in 1785, the state legislature voted to establish a college of Cambridge here, and the town was officially renamed Cambridge. But in 1800s, it was already starting to decline. The village had 7 stores, 3 taverns, and about 200 people. And by 1850, there was nothing left. Let's go see what they've done. Look at this cool little town. This reminds me of when we went to Jamestown, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Look at, they got a kiln over there. Maybe that's where the blacksmith worked, right? And they got the stockade. So when People were bad, they got put in the stockade. And this is the Logan Log House. So this Logan Log House was actually found in Greenwood, and they moved it here because of its value as an extraordinary artifact. It's a cool looking cabin. Can you go in there? Can you see in there? Ooh, this Black Swan Tavern. Look at that. That looks pretty cool, huh?
That looks anything like.
Oh, it wasn't very big, but it had a fireplace, a bar, had some tables to sit down and eat. It does have a musket up there, huh?
Where's the bayonet?
Oh, they probably put that away safe so nobody got hurt. And look at that. That's the end of our tour. It's just about a 1 mile loop, and it takes you all through the battlefield. That was pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
It was a pretty small battlefield.
It was pretty small.
Yeah.
Well, so that's it. What'd you think, bud?
It was good. Hope you learned about the siege of. I hope you learned a lot about the siege of '96.
Okay. And what do we need to do? We need to hit that subscribe button, and what else?
And click the bell.
All right. Bye.
Bye.